What's good, y'all? It's your man Sight, back again for 2018. Glad to be back with a fresh new start for the new year. Had a lot of crazy stuff happen at the end of 2017. Technically, my MPC touch went down probably around November. It took about 6 weeks to get that fixed. In the meantime, the MPC 2.0 dropped, the official version, which is awesome. We're going to be getting into that. Also, I had some technical issues with my camera. One of the connections on my lenses wasn't working, so I had a behind the scenes video I planned for y'all with a photo shoot that didn't quite work out. So that little break, it just kind of gave me time to upgrade everything, upgrade the camera system, of course get the MPC back from the shop. So I'm looking forward to delivering a lot more content to you guys this year, and I'm looking forward to your feedback and ideas. So if there's something that you like on the channel, you want to see more of, feel free to drop it in the comments. And thanks everybody, who's been liking and subscribing. I've been seeing the numbers on the channel go up, and I really appreciate it. I really do this for you guys, and I want to make something productive that really helps people. So if you have any feedback on the channel, like I said, comment it. I'm going to read all the comments and get back to everybody as much as I can. And also I'm going to try to take your suggestions as far as what type of music you want to hear, what type of projects you want to see more of, and deliver that to y'all. All right, so let's jump into it. Let's get busy. All right, now let's get into this beat. When I got my MPC Touch back, one of the first things I wanted to do was just get back in there. It had been maybe 5 to 6 weeks since I had it. So, I was just eager to get my hands on and start working. And usually what I'll do when I want to come up with something quick and I don't feel like, sampling and going in, and finding a whole bunch of material to work with, I'll just use the pad perform mode, which is like my go-to on this new MPC series. So sticking to the theme of stock sounds, that's going to be a big thing, on my channel, is working with what you have. And I want to show people that you don't need a ton of plugins, $1,000, $100 plugins, to make good quality music. The stuff that comes with the Touch and comes with the Akai products is pretty good. I mean, the Air bundle is pretty good. So I wanted to just get right in and work with what I had. So I came up with a melody on Pad Perform. I went in and found a patch called, what was it? I think it was Octave 6. And the patch was called Brassy, right on the Hybrid 3. So I was messing around with it. Came up with a pattern. Sounded something like that. So I'll just solo it out for you. Nothing fancy, I just want a nice little bounce on it. So now that I'm going somewhere with it, I usually add drums as step 2. So usually what I'll do is I'll find a kick. Actually, let me mute out that bass so you can kind of see. So what I do with this one, and you'll notice I layer my drums a lot. The kick was pretty solid, so I ran with it, but it's kind of like a trappy type of snare. I layer it up with a snap. Throw some kicks in. Boom, and we're moving. So I'm like, all right, cool. I'm feeling where this is going. Let me get some hi-hats together. And usually what I'll do with hi-hats is I'll start with well, it depends. It depends on the sound, but this one kind of sounded like a open hat to me. And I threw in some light double time hats in the background. Now, I'm always talking about the turnarounds in a beat, and the turnarounds are important because when you're leading into your next sequence, you know, you want to build up a little suspense. So what I'll do is I threw an open, it's kind of like a reverse cymbal right there. So I threw that in between the fourth and fifth bar just to kind of build a little suspense going into the next loop. And that's important because you don't want your beats to sound too repetitive. So, you know, one thing I learned, you know, the longer I've been producing is you don't want to repeat your sequence exactly too many times. So I'm like, all right, time for a new sequence once I built that up. So I wanted to add a little more to it. I felt like it needed a little more action. So I added some chords to it, which kind of are like strings. So you'll hear them here. Again, pad perform, just work with what I have. I think I dropped the octave down. Yeah, so I went ahead and added those. And it's just about, you know, adding a little more to what you already have. So this is kind of cheating because you're basically working with the exact same chords, but I like it because you're adding different instruments. So, you know, it still sounds pretty good. So this is what I got. Now, I also added a bass line, and I did that actually on the last sequence and just copied it over. And let me just single that out for you so you can hear what I'm talking about. Now, what's dope about this pad perform is if you're in pad perform and you're looking at it used to give you more of a view of it, but when you're in pad perform mode, there's also there's a notes version where if you hit usually I keep it in progressions, but if you hit notes, it'll bring up the individual notes that fit that scale that you're in. So it's dope because you really don't have to go outside of pad perform to find all the notes that you need in your scale. So let me drop it down an octave. So as you can see, look at all the ones that are lighting up green. So similar to sampling, when you have chops and you just kind of choose between the chops that you have, that's the reason I like pad perform, because you go to notes and you know you actually have that same principle where you have limited notes like you would with if you chopped up a sample and you just work with what you have on the 16. And I like that because it, you know, it keeps the beats, you know, simpler but still on key. So it's a quick little tip for y'all. All right, cool. So now we're moving with the track. We got 2 sequences ready to go. So now after I got a little bit of energy built up, I wanted to take it down and build some drama and some mood before we get to a hook. So I'm thinking those first 2 sequences will be the verse, and then we'll build like a pre-hook and then a hook. So let's see. Next sequence. Now, this is that kind of low pass sounding sequence where you'll hear guys like, you know, filter out everything. What I did instead was I found another sound that stock sound as usual. Went right to the hybrid. I found this sound called Big Sur, and basically went back to pad perform, progressions. And played the same, basically the same notes, different instrument. So you'll see this, you know, probably constantly in a lot of my tracks. I like to keep the same melody, change out the instruments, maybe switch it up a little bit from sequence to sequence. But with this one, I just stretched out the notes, as you can see here. Actually, let me zoom out. Yeah, I just took the notes that we had from our previous pattern and stretched them out. And I made it an 8-bar sequence, so I wanted it to kind of build up slowly. Now that bass sound, this is also another trick you'll hear a lot of dope producers do. When you have a heavy bass, like the bass I used on the first sequence was very kind of 808-ish. So what I did on this one is I swapped it. Usually you'll hear like a very deep bass, and then on certain parts, certain sequences, you'll hear like a more a bass with more top end, like a, you know, a mono lead bass. So that's what I did with this one. I found one on hybrid called Unifuzz bass, and I'll bring it up here. And again, just went to pad perform to the notes and found a pattern that I like. So as you can see, the first 4 bars are actually let me zoom that out, an octave higher. So I just played it 1 octave, and then I duplicated it and then dropped it an octave for the second, you know, the second 4 bars. So it kind of gave it a little more bass on the second 4 bars of that loop, which I thought was dope. It gave me like a heavier bass. So good little variation. And just to build suspense, as usual, that's kind of my thing. You'll notice as I lead into the next sequence, I want to build up suspense. What's coming next? Sometimes I'll tease a little bit of the next sequence. But in this case, I wanted it to be, you know, a hook that comes next. So this is kind of like a pre-hook, you know, just building suspense. And how I like to do that is with a riser. It's like one of my tricks. So I went to the next track and I found a riser called Double Pumping Noise. Again, using the riser plugin, stock with the Akai. And I'll usually start that around the last bar of the loop. So I think in this one I started it at bar 7. So, you know, by the time the 8th bar is done, it's building up. So you'll hear it here. Now I threw a little snare roll in there too, getting ready for the next sequence because I want people to know the drums are coming back. So just a little tease of the drums. And then I'll bring the next sequence in. A little pre-hook type situation. Building up, getting ready for the chorus. We're gonna bring those drums back. So if you heard what I did there, I took the original melody, brought it back, which I think is important for the chorus. Then what I did was I took a little bit of that pre-hook, that bass line, and just little hints of it, and gave it like a different edge at the end of it. So I changed the bass line just a little bit with that Unifuzz bass, and that's dope because it's like. I felt like it's a good little mixture between the last two sequences, and then we can go right back into the verse. So I'll play them all in sequence for you, and you can hear, the vibe I have for this beat and the song structure I have for it. So intro, we're going to go with that drama build up for the intro, that third sequence, the low pass one. And then we're going to drop into the first sequence, which I had structured for the verse. Play that twice, go into the chords for 8 bars, which is, the one with the string sounds in it. And then back to that moody low pass one. And then we're going to bring in that last one we just did for the hook. So I'll let you guys check it out. Yeah. So I thought that felt real big. You know what I mean? I like the way it looped around. And with a lot of beats, man, you can get as complicated as you want. If somebody ends up liking this beat and wants to use it for a project, I can always add more little elements to it. But I got the basic song structure down as far as, how I want the verses to go. So you can always customize them for the artist. So you don't have to worry about it being, the last setup. But I try to organize it in a way that makes sense. So if someone's writing to it, they can get ideas and it feels like a song and it's ready to go. So some people keep the beat, if they buy it, they keep the beat exactly how it is. Some people will change the structure a little bit. And some people will call you up and say, I want to change this, change that. So my goal now with my beats is not just to come up with simple loops. It's good to have a scratch pad and come with ideas. But previously, when I was younger, as a producer, I'd have a whole bunch of unfinished ideas. My goal now is to get something that's ready to go before I even get off this beat machine. It doesn't always happen. I say probably about 50% of the time, it's not something I feel like can go all the way. So, and turn into a song. So it happens. It's 50-50. But my goal is at least half of my beats ready to go out the door. Something I can, I put it into song mode and basically it's ready to go. Somebody can buy it just like that. So, yeah, that's my process right now. I'm going to try to do some more different style beats for you guys. I got some different requests, which were really dope. I'm going to try to mix in some sampling with my next ones. But yeah, if you guys have, questions, comments, leave them in the comment section. I'm going to read everything. I'll try to address all the questions, that I can, and also requests as far as what you might be looking for, as far as like the type of beats you like me to work on. I'm definitely looking to keep building my portfolio and work on different types of music. So I got some surprises for y'all with that, as far as like the type of beats that I'm making. So yeah, I think the next one I'll hit y'all with some samples, chop up some samples. That's my original love right there, is sampling and cutting it up. So I'll work on that on the next one. But yeah, I'm looking forward to you guys' suggestions. If you like the video, smash that like button. Subscribe, hit the bell so you get notifications when I post something new. But I'm gonna keep it coming for y'all in 2018. Technically, everything's back in order. The MPC Touch is working flawlessly. Computer's working flawlessly. Equipment's working flawlessly. And the new camera is just, it's like icing on the cake. So I'm going to try to keep showing y'all my creative process behind the scenes. And I look forward to any questions you guys have. Peace.